Hey guys, hopefully everyone is doing well. Today's target is to solve problem number 3. We are in chapter related to ledgers, and we do know that we make journal on the first hand and then we turn this journal into ledgers and finally we go to make for the trial balance. Come over here. This is your question. Question number 3. Enter the following transaction into journal and prepare a trial balance. Here ledgers are not mentioned, so it is indirectly understood that whenever you will make journal, you will turn those journal entries into ledgers and then you will be able to make trial balance. Trial balance is impossible to get existence without having ledgers. So it is indirectly understood. We will take the three steps. The very first step, we will be making journal, and then we will be making ledgers, and these ledgers would be converted into our trial balance. This is what we will be doing in our lecture. Here you can see this is our problem and we are related with February 1, and please make your mind, it's not a small question. There are so many journal entries given over here. You can see continuously going from 1st Feb to 29 Feb, and there are so many entries which are being repeated. You can see over here February 2, February 2, February 2. So in single day you are making three transactions over here. Methodology is very similar. What we will do, these transactions are given to us, we will pick them. As an accountant, we will convert into usable information. First usable information is we are going to convert them into journal entries. So hopefully it is understandable. Hopefully you know your target, how we will achieve our target, and what steps we will take in completion of this question. So are you ready? I'm very hopeful. Everyone is excited. Everyone is ready. Everyone is calm and ready to improve the skill and ready to improve the knowledge and ready to improve the attitude towards the learning procedure. I'm very hopeful. Let's start our question. We are going to start with the journal. This is our date column, and the very first step is to put the date. Here you can see first date is February 1. So you will put February 1 in date column. And now let's see what is saying. February 1, on February 1 started business with cash. So you are going to start your business. Now here we have narrated in previous lectures as well, and I would like to share in the same way here. We are working for business. We are not working for the businessman. So why we are sharing this, you should have an idea, you should have an understanding. Whenever you want to know what is increase or what is decrease, you will take point of view of business, not the businessman. Why I'm saying this? Started business with cash is mentioned over here. It means proprietor had provided cash and that cash has been invested into the business. If you will see if you will see the transaction according to businessman, cash is going out. He is paying cash into the business. So cash is going out. While in actual, you will follow the point of view of business, where when you will see according to business point of view, cash is coming in. Cash is increasing. Cash in hand is increasing. Cash in hand is asset. Asset is increasing. Asset should be mentioned on debit side. So you are supposed to write cash over here on debit side. Cash is coming in the business. Any amount, any product which is provided by proprietor of the business, that is called capital, and it is considered to be the liability. Why? Because business is answerable what business is receiving from the proprietor. Since business is answerable, it is considered as liability, and liability should be mentioned on credit side. So we are going to put capital on credit side. Here our entry has been completed. Cash to capital. Started business with cash means cash is coming. and capital is liability. We will now be putting the amount. See here, amount is 2 lakh. So you are putting 2 lakh on debit side and same amount on credit side would be written. So 2 lakh on debit side, 2 lakh on credit side. In this way, entry for 1st Feb is completed and we have marked it as it has been done by putting an ending line after it. Here, I would like to explain that there is third line also included in journal and name of third line is narration. For the time being, we are skipping it as narration is written over here as well. So in examination, whatever is written in your question, you concise that particular statement and write down in third line as a narration. Since it's a lengthy question, first reason, and secondly, a chapter is which we are related with is ledgers, not journal. So we are basically focusing upon ledgers. So just to save the time, just to save the space, we are going to skip narration. So you will write it. 1st February entry is completed. It's time to see what is next date. Here you have February 2. So what you will do, you will write February 2, but beside it you will write B because February 2A is more suitable. Its first entry related to February 2A. This was your date. Here you can see February 2. And since there are so many entries of February 2, so we have further divided February 2 entry into different parts. First part is A. A part is saying bought goods from Mahmood. Here try to understand cash is not mentioned. Bought goods from Mahmood. Cash is not mentioned. It means indirectly we will understand it's a credit transaction. First thing. Secondly, keep it in mind whenever name is given and cash is not mentioned. So please understand this entry would be credit transaction, not cash transaction. So these are two things which is important to understand the entry. First is if cash is not mentioned, indirectly we will understand it's a credit transaction. It's simple thing. But beside this, if name is mentioned and cash is not mentioned, this is the second symbol with which we will decide that it's a credit transaction. We are buying goods. It means goods are coming in, goods are your near assets. Assets are increasing, increase in assets should be mentioned on debit side. So we were supposed to write goods over here. But as we understand that in accounting we do not write goods, in place of goods we write working. What working we are doing here? You can see we are buying goods. So instead of goods, you will replace this word by purchase. Whatever working we will be doing, we will replace goods with that working. Working here was purchase. So goods were written just for the reference. Now they are unneeded to be written over here. So you may erase them. So goods are purchased. When you will buy anything, you will have to pay cash. But here, look at this entry. You are buying your goods, cash is not being paid. So if cash is not paid, you are liable to pay cash in future. So if you are liable to pay amount to whom? Mahmood. Here you can see the person from whom we are buying goods is Mahmood. Mahmood is the person to whom amount is payable. So Mahmood would be considered our liability. Liability should be mentioned on credit side. So you will write name of Mahmood on credit side. Why? Because Mahmood is our account payable. As a liability, we are putting it on credit side. How much worth of goods we have purchased? That is 1 lakh. So put 1 lakh on debit side and same 1 lakh would be posted on credit side as well. This way you have completed February 2nd A entry. You can see that next entry is also related to February 2, but we will name it as February 2B. Date is very important. Please keep it in mind. Without posting a proper date, it would be almost impossible to have your ledgers with correct answers. Correct answers are completely dependent upon dates, amounts, and sequence. So February 2B is here. We have bought furniture for cash. This is your entry. We have bought furniture for cash. When you are buying furniture, it means furniture is coming in. Furniture is your asset. Asset is increasing. Increase in asset should be debited. So we are going to debit furniture. Alright. So if you are buying furniture, and paying, this is written for cash. So cash is going out means cash in hand is decreasing. Cash in hand is your asset. Asset is decreasing. Decrease in asset should be credited. So here we will mention cash as cash is decreasing. Entry completed. Now let's see what was the amount for furniture. This is 16,000. So put 16,000 on debit side and same amount we are supposed to write on credit side as well. Entry is completed. Let's see what is next. After this second entry, we have third entry of with the same date, February 2. So what we will do, February 2, but it's C entry. Third entry is saying sold goods to Qasim. And here again, the same rule, cash is not mentioned over here. And secondly, name is given. So we will indirectly understand it that it's a credit transaction as cash is not mentioned over here. You are selling your goods. When you will sell your goods, goods will be going out. Goods are your near asset. And due to sale, asset is decreasing. Decrease in asset should be mentioned on credit side. So you were supposed to write goods over here. But as you know, in accounting, we do not write goods in place of goods. We write working. Now see in third entry, what we are doing. We are selling goods. So in place of goods, you will write sale. The word sale replace the word goods. Goods were written just for the reference. It is now unneeded to be written over here, so you may erase it. So actually you are selling goods. Goods are going out. In place of goods, you have written sales. So goods are replaced by the word sales. Alright. So when you are selling goods, it is expected to receive cash, but our transaction is showing that you are selling these goods to Qasim on credit. Cash is not being received. It means amount will be receivable in future. The person to whom you have sold these goods is Qasim. So Qasim is the person from whom amount is receivable. Amounts receivable are assets. Assets should be mentioned on debit side. So you will mention name of Qasim. Name of Qasim on debit side. So here you are going to write Qasim. Why? Because Qasim is your account receivable. So entry is Qasim to sales. How much worth of goods we have sold to Qasim? Here this is your entry, 32,000 is the amount of sales. So you are going to write 32,000 on debit side, then same amount would be written on credit side as well. February 2nd entry is completed. Here we have completed 3 entries related to February 2nd and all 3 entries are present. Here. Next is February 3. So put February 3 in date column. And now see what February 3 is saying, purchase stationery for cash. When you are buying stationery and it is still unused, stationery would be considered as asset. Asset is increasing. Increase in asset should be mentioned on debit side. So you will mention stationery on debit side because as an asset it is increasing. Secondly, when you will buy stationery, it means you are paying. After payment, your cash in hand would be decreased. Cash in hand is asset. Asset is decreasing. Decrease in asset should be mentioned on credit side. So you are supposed to write cash on credit side. Entry would be stationery to cash. How much worth of stationery we have bought in February 3rd? Worth is 8,000. So put 8,000 on debit side and same amount you are going to put on credit side. This way on February 3rd entry is completed, purchase stationery for cash. Now entry number 4, Feb 4, and what Feb 4 is saying, paid Mahmood and company in cash. You have paid Mahmood to cash. Here you can see that we have bought goods from Mahmood of worth rupees 1 lakh and now we are paying just 60,000. Please make your mind. We had purchased goods. Here Mahmood is mentioned. We had bought goods on credit and we were liable to pay 1 lakh rupees to Mahmood. Out of 1 lakh rupees, we are right now paying only 60,000. That means it's a partial payment. Since we are paying, it means cash is going out. Cash is your near asset. Cash in hand is decreasing. That means asset is decreasing. Decrease in asset should be mentioned on credit side. So you are going to mention cash on credit side because you are paying to whom? Mahmood. You are paying this cash to Mahmood. Here Mahmood was your account payable because you were liable to pay amount to Mahmood. Mahmood was your account payable. Now you have paid. It means he is no more your account payable, no more your liability. Liability has been decreased. Decrease in liability should be mentioned on debit side. So you will mention name of Mahmood on debit side. Though he was your account receivable, account receivables are assets. Assets should be mentioned on debit side. Uh, and though he was your account payable, please excuse me, he was your account payable, account payables are liabilities, liabilities should be mentioned on credit side. Why we are then writing it on debit side? Because we had now paid. After payment he is not our liability, liability decreased, that is why you have mentioned it on debit side. Mahmood account payable is mentioned on debit side, cash on credit side. Mahmood to cash is entry. How much cash has been paid in entry number 4? This is, you can see 60,000, so put 60,000 on debit side and same amount you are going to write on credit side as well. In this way, February 4 entry has been completed. Now let's see what next entry is saying. After February 4, we have February 5. Put date first. This is February 5. What is happening on February 5? Receive cash from Qasim. We'll have to see where is Qasim. Now you can see sold goods to Qasim for 32,000. And out of 32,000 you are receiving 30,800. And if anything else is said, yes, we have received cash from Qasim 30,800 and allowed discount. This is discount allowed, keep it in mind. Alright, first we will complete entry for received cash from Qasim. When you will receive cash, it means cash is coming in. If cash is coming in, that means your cash in hand is increasing. Cash in hand is your asset. Asset is increasing. Increase in asset should be mentioned on debit side. So will you mention cash on debit side. From whom you are receiving this cash? The person name is, you are receiving this cash on February 5 from Qasim. Qasim was the person from whom amount was receivable. And now you have received that amount. If you have received amount, it means he is no more your account receivable, no more your asset. Asset has been decreased. Decrease in asset should be mentioned on credit side. So you will mention name of Qasim. Name of Qasim on credit side. In spite of this, that he was your account receivable, account receivables are assets. Assets should be mentioned on credit side. Assets should be mentioned on debit sides. Why we are mentioning account receivable on credit side? What could be the reason? Let me know. As I've said, Qasim is account receivable. Account receivables are assets. Assets should be mentioned on debit side. But contrary to that, we are mentioning Qasim on credit side. Why? Because we have received amount. He is no more our account receivable. He is no more our asset. Assets are decreased. Decrease in asset should be mentioned on credit side. That is why you are looking Qasim is written on credit side. How much amount you have received from Qasim? On February 5, you can see we have received 30,800. So put 30,800 on debit side. How much total amount was receivable from Qasim? Here you can see this is your Qasim. Total amount receivable from Qasim was 32,000. So put 32,000 on credit side. Though it is not mentioned, but we know total amount receivable from Qasim was 32,000. Alright. And you have received just 30,800, and beside that, as we have earlier seen, some discount is allowed to him. This is your February 5th, you can see over here, and discount allowed is 1200 mentioned over here. If we allowed discount, it would be unfavorable for you. It would be an expense. Expenses should be mentioned on debit side. So all discounts which are allowed, are considered as an expense and should be written on debit side. Let's align it to the debit side because previous entry was not similar to this. So we have aligned cash is debit, discount is debit, and Qasim is credit. Now how much amount you will put over here? Discount allowed. Check it out. He had mentioned 1200 is the discount allowed amount. You have already seen this is 1200 discount allowed, so we will put same amount on debit of discount. Here our problem has been sorted out. Discount has been allowed 1200. We will apply a simple accounting principle. Total of debit side should be equal to total credit side. When you will sum 30,800 and 1200, sum would be 32,000, and same sum is written on credit side as well. It means we can be satisfied that entry has been completed. Both sides are equal. What we have completed is February 5th. Let's see after February 5th we have another February 5th. We have received cash from Qasim. It was February 5. Sold goods to Wahid is skipped. Sold goods to Wahid and Sons for rupees 40,000. It is skipped. So we may write over here 5B, and now the skipped entry we will do, that is February 5A entry. I have already said when there are so many entries in the question, so it may be possible such things can be happen. We should be very much careful about that. February 5A, A entry is over here. It was possible we can take this entry and put downward, and space could be made for that, would be better I think. So we should take this entry, complete entry would be taken from here, and we will put that entry over here, and we have got the space over here. We are changing the date as well over here, and A entry can be written over here. Our problem is sorted out. This entry was missed, but keep it in mind it is possible only on systems, not when you are doing it on copies, so you will have to be very careful at that time. Let's see what February 5th A entry. Sold goods to Wahid. This entry was skipped. Sold goods to Wahid for rupees 40,000. We are selling goods. That means goods are going out. Goods are your near asset. Asset is going out. Decrease in asset. Decrease in asset should be mentioned on credit side. So you were supposed to write goods over here. But in accounting, as you know, we do not write goods. February 5A, sold goods to Wahid. So goods are going out, goods were mentioned on credit side, but in accounting we do not write goods in place of goods. We write working. What working we are doing? You can see here we are selling goods, so you will replace goods with the word sale. Goods were written just for the reference. Now they are unneeded to be written over here. You can erase them. So what you have done, you have credited sales. It's time to align it, because credit would always be aligned to the right side. Okay. And when you are selling goods, February 5A, when you are selling goods, here you can see that again name is not mentioned, cash is not mentioned over here, name is mentioned, so we will indirectly understand that it is credit transaction. Cash is not coming on. So sold goods to Wahid, it means when you are selling goods to Wahid and Wahid is not paying cash instantly, so amount would be receivable in the future. So Wahid is a person from whom amount is receivable. All accounts receivables are considered assets. Assets should be mentioned on debit side. So we will mention name of Wahid on debit side, as Wahid is our account receivable, and account receivables are asset. Asset should be mentioned on debit side. So we have written name of Wahid on debit side, February 5A. How much worth of goods we have sold to him? It is 40,000. Just put 40,000 on debit side and put 40,000 on credit side as well. This way the missed entry or skipped entry 5th A has been completed. Next 5th B entry, we have already completed cash received from Qasim. This you can see we have already received cash from Qasim, and now we will see what is next entry. 5th February entry has been completed. Next date February 6. Put date first. February 6. What it is saying? Paid carriage 1200 rupees. You are paying, it means cash is going out. Your cash in hand is decreasing. Decrease in cash in hand means decrease in asset, which should be credited. So cash was supposed to be credit over here, so put to cash over here. All right, and next step is what you will do. I don't know how this window had come over here, and it is not going anywhere as well. Let's try it once again, otherwise there is no problem. Actually the sign of this is over here. No, it's not going anywhere. Okay, we can leave it for a while. February 6 paid carriage for rupees 1200. When you are paying this carriage, carriage is an expense. Expenses should be mentioned on debit side. So write down carriage over here. Carriage is debited, cash is credited. February 6 was the entry. How much you are paying for it? That is 1200. So put 1200 on debit side, and you are supposed to write same amount 1200 on credit side as well. So still it's not going. Yes, we have found out, and why this is not going. Okay, just consider it your first part of the question, and we will come back and see if we can have next part of our question. It may be first part. I was supposed to let it go, but it's not going. It's frozen. Let's take it to the other side. Okay, it's not going, and this was not supposed to be happening. All right, so just consider it first part. We will come back and we'll be solving next entries. We have completed up to February 6th entry, and we will be completing our next entries in second part. Up till then, please take care of yourself. Come back soon. It will be a short break, and we will be completing our next part of the question. Thank you very much. Allah Hafiz.